This is a must-watch minute. Take a look.
For those of us who are not black men, imagine watching the news and seeing how people...
Imagine being a black man and being told by some white lady with a microphone that you and the criminal on TV are one and the same because you look alike. Imagine being told by society that white people can be all that they can be, but you as a black man, the content of your character is completely irrelevant. You are the color of your skin and that is all you will ever be. Imagine being told you can't figure out how to vote because of the color of your skin. Socioeconomics affects everyone, but apparently you're not as smart as the poorest white person. Lady, I don't want to hate you. I'm a 90s kid. I grew up with you. So I know you're very talented. I understand your heart is in the right place, but you are everything you preach against. You're not helping. You're making things worse. You're causing more division. You're causing more fear. Statistically speaking, I am more likely to be shot and killed by my black elderly neighbor across the street than the cop who patrols my neighborhood. Statistically speaking, homicide by cop is very rare, but people like you find power in fear, so you keep it front page news. You don't have to be a white supremacist. You can be better.
First and foremost, make sure you follow her on Instagram or TikTok. This is Savvy. I'm gonna post it right here. One of the best ways to combat tyranny and media manipulation is to let people with souls like this, you could just feel a real human soul. Elevate these voices to the point where there's so many of us that their propaganda doesn't work. I would love to see her with a bigger platform than Alyssa Milano. I have some things to add, but I love her approach of how she was kind and compassionate even when she was disagreeing with Alyssa Milano. I think that works a lot better than this rigid like thing that liberals and conservatives do to each other. I found it very refreshing, and I want to run through some quotes and ideas for people like Alyssa or people that get brainwashed by her, because there's something really sick going on in this country and in the world. Marcus Garvey once said, "We are going to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery because whilst others might free the body, none but ourselves can free the mind." A lot of people know the Bob Marley lyric, I believe, citing that. It's a very profound quote. If you can allow them to enslave your mind, they can control what you vote, what you buy, how you think, and even put your body back into physical slavery. If you look at what's going on now, the same political party that profits and exploits things like the George Floyd event, the Democratic Party, Act Blue progressive fundraising went through the roof and skyrocketed during that. You have to understand these are the same people that are doing lockdowns way more than Republicans, mask mandates, 2 masks, trying to bar you from society if you don't get their big pharmacy injection. But nobody seems to be able to figure that out, because as long as they control your mind, they can convince you to essentially enslave your body. And just to be clear, the word enslave means to cause someone to lose their freedom of choice or action. That's exactly what happened over the last year, because people like not just Alyssa, but the mainstream media and politicians in both parties convince people that it's normal to lose everything. As long as they throw you a crumb here, there, a Donald Trump or a George Floyd protest, people on both sides will fight each other and never catch on to what they're doing. I use this quote a lot, but I want to watch Malcolm X talk about not just white liberals, but the black liberals who serve those liberals like puppets. Take a look.
There are many whites who are trying to solve the problem, but you never see them going under the label of liberals. That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere. He's the most deceitful. He's like a fox.
Today, you could point to a large number of Negro leaders who have consistently betrayed Negroes in a whole host of areas.
They aren't really Negro leaders. These are puppets that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. These are parrots that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. You can't name me a Negro leader who has betrayed Negroes, who has not been endorsed, sanctioned, subsidized, and supported by the white liberals.
And it's still true to this day. Icons who I used to have a lot of respect for, like LeBron James and Morgan Freeman, as time moved on, they just seemed like puppets and pawns for the Democratic Party machine. You very rarely find black celebrities who do not just shill for the Democratic Party, Big Pharma, or whatever the flavor of the day for corporate America or big government is. And anytime that you do find somebody step against the narrative, like a Kanye West or Lil Wayne, the media hates it and they make sure to drag their name in the mud as much as possible. So what does it mean if they only like black people so far as they can control them politically to do their bidding? And if you want to be honest, if you look at most majority black neighborhoods and cities, not only is there too much crime, but they're controlled by Democrats. And if you do become successful, and if you do make money, and if you do start a business, like a lot of people do, it's always the Democratic Party that's taxing you more, taking more of your money, taking more control of things. It's not a coincidence that blue states are more locked down than red states. It's their politics, but nobody even knows what their politics is, because the Democratic Party and people like Alyssa Milano just hang racism, 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 it's the Republicans over your head, and have people in Democrat neighborhoods blaming Republicans for areas that they haven't controlled in probably 50, 60 years. That's the whole deception. If they solved racism, they wouldn't have a platform anymore. People would realize that they're like an empty vessel. I don't like either party, but once I learn more, it's the Republican Party who, at least slightly, although I would say they're phony and sold out too, tries to preserve freedom, liberty, and get big government off your back somewhat. Although I would say during the lockdown that didn't happen so much. The Democratic Party has like nothing to offer anybody that isn't brainwashed by their phony celebrities, puppet athletes, and constant propaganda on every single social media app, to the point where it's hard to even realize they're doing it because it's everywhere. They don't want to let racism die, and they can't have the fear of people being afraid of white people or Republicans or police officers. If that fear dies, so does their entire facade. It reminds me of the pharmacy industry. If the entire population was extremely healthy, they wouldn't make that much money. It's like they need people to be alive, but sick enough where they're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pills. That's the sweet spot of how you make a lot of money. If people don't want to take pills and don't want to take injections and work out a lot and don't need as many prescription pills, they wouldn't be able to have 5% of the population in the United States taking around 80% of the opioids, which is leading to problems. But they don't really have incentive to tell you that, so they just kind of string you along just enough. And that's the same with the Democratic Party and racism. And this idea that Alyssa Milano's talking about with black men watching the television, I hope all men of all ethnicities, but black men as well, realize what the Democratic Party and media is doing, which is pushing the feminization of men and demonizing masculinity. I'm all for people being nice. I understand some dudes are just assholes. That's obvious. So if it was a little bit of this, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but clearly they demonize strong black men just like they demonize strong white men. They hate the strong man because a weaker population is easier to control. If you have a population with no strong men, it's an easy society to conquer. If you don't have strong men, who's going to protect the women and children? Nobody. And that's what they're doing. They're leaving people vulnerable because they want a weak, dumbed down, addicted to pills, completely brainwashed, fearful population that's afraid of apocalyptic climate change, COVID-19, racism, because those are the easiest people to control. And then people start following their hate and their anger and their emotions instead of the truth, and they end up making problems even worse without even realizing it. And the truth becomes like kryptonite, where they freak out when you even inject a dose of truth into their propaganda. That's what's going on. And God bless this brave and smart woman for pointing it out in a way that was not only straight to the point, but it wasn't hateful, it wasn't angry, it wasn't arrogant, it was kind, composed. And that type of mentality is very, very effective. I think a lot of people on the Republican side and on the Democrat side can learn from her approach. Thanks for watching my videos. I appreciate you. Have a beautiful day. If you like these hats, I have them at dreamrare.com, or you could search godblesshats.com and it'll take you right to dreamrare.com, godblesshats.com. And I also have this shirt, and this black beanie. Thank you guys for supporting. I appreciate you so, so much. My Telegram is DreamRareChat, t.me/DreamRareChat or DreamRareChat. StayInTouchWithMe.com is my free email list, StayInTouchWithMe.com. And thank you to everybody sharing my videos. If enough people stand up for themselves and speak the truth like this woman, they can't censor and stop everybody. So let's build each other up, and let's not cower to wickedness and lies. Have a good day.
For the gulag, I don't trust y'all like I don't trust the moon man. Is he talking MTV or La Luna? The more they show, it's looking like a Truman. Get what I'm saying? Everything is zoomed in, left, right, trapped. They set it up like a crewman. I be too good at rapping not to do this. Got 600 million views without the music. Hey, the First Amendment, that's for my mouth. The Second Amendment, that's for my house. I get why you wanna take both, but I ain't going out without a bout.